And many would-be retirees are nervous about starting their golden years amidst a wild swing on Wall Street and an uncertain economy. But does it mean it's a bad time to retire? Well, here to weigh in and share what you need to know if you are in or near retirement is local financial professional Tom Neumann. You know him, friend to the show from Drake & Associates. Tom, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, I'm going to just start with the first question. Can I retire?
Well, you can, but with inflation slowing, it's still elevated, and the threat of additional tariffs could really drive prices higher. So this means that a lot of retirees will need more money to pay for their daily expenses. The economy is slowing down with negative GDP growth in the first quarter of this year, and economists are predicting there's a 30 to 60% chance of us hitting a recession this year, which has created market volatility that we've seen, especially through the spring, and that's been scary for a lot of recent retirees and those hoping to retire sometime soon.
Well, listen, so is it bad then to retire when the stock market is down?
It's not necessarily bad, but it's not ideal. When retirees have to withdraw from their accounts while the market is down, it really locks in those losses and it can have a negative compounding effect on the overall balances that you have. This is what's known as sequence of returns risk. And sequence of returns risk can really be a huge detriment if you do retire into a recession. Now, there are some ways to protect yourself and you want to create a balanced portfolio, but retiring when the market is down, like I said, it's not ideal, but it's not impossible. You just want to create a plan that's going to have some strategies to mitigate that.
All right, speaking of strategies, what are some of those things? I don't like the B word, but I know you're going to say budget. Is there some ways that we can cut back on some things until we feel that we're in a good space?
Yeah, so budgeting is one of those things, but also balancing your portfolio. It's important to avoid taking on too much risk, especially as you prepare for retirement. So you want to have a balance between stocks and bonds and just have a well-diversified portfolio across multiple asset classes. In general, you can still be invested in the stock market to help grow your nest egg, but you just want to bucketize the way that you're investing so that if you need to take withdrawals, you're doing it from a bucket that's the most conservative by nature. And once you deplete that, then hopefully you've given time for the market to recover for the more aggressive assets that you have. And then you can start backfilling that conservative bucket with the growth that you've had from your more aggressive bucket. So outside of budgeting, make sure that you have a well-diversified portfolio and you create that withdrawal strategy that makes sense for you.
What advice would you give to a prospective retiree who's seen the stock market take a violent swing down and they say, well, I just want to take the money out? Should they do that or just keep it in place for the time being?
It's always great to assess what your goals are and when you perceive that you're going to use your funds. The adage that it's all about time in the market instead of timing the market holds true in volatile times. You want to avoid having the emotions take over your decision making when it comes to your finances and your investing. So if you have money set aside that's not going to be touched for 7, 10 or more years, then you have time on your side to kind of let that ride. And that's why it's important to build in that safety bucket so that if you do need to withdraw funds in a short period of time or sometime here in the near future, then you're not pulling funds at the same time that the market is going down. So that's the biggest key that I would have for most retirees right now.
Well, Tom, that's great information to know. Thank you so much as always.